Hi guys, welcome back to Dice Down Gaming. Dan's with me today. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. You can't see it right now, but I've got my Magnarak stuff,
Oh, you
my
got you got your new War Mag stuff, is it?
War Mag stuff. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah,
War Mag.
yeah.
Got that, and so yeah, really happy with it. And yeah, I'm here on time, so
Ha.
I'm doing better than last week.
And I,
And we're here to talk about why you should come to wargaming events, why you should attend tabletop events, and the benefits from that.
and I think I may, I don't know, I think I can put the YouTube chat on the actual screen. This may be,
For
holy poo, I've managed this.
the,
YouTube will now see the chat as we talk. Dear
I
God.
mean, I can't. I can only see you on Teams, so we're just going for it. With the height of
Yeah.
technology, we learned how to blur the space around me about 5 minutes
We
ago.
have
So
managed to blur our webcams, and we were pretty impressed at ourselves for doing that as well.
just wait. Give it 6 months. We'll have overlays. We'll have a little list of
Yeah,
subscribers down the side. We'll have the numbers popping up. Let's try and get to 20 subscribers. And all that.
we are progressing at a really, really rapid rate if you are a snail. We are, we are getting there.
It's yeah.
Uh,
Thankfully, I mean, we played some games this week, which thankfully we both screamed at our dice, we both shouted at each other, we were disrespectful, we didn't communicate, and we had a great time.
yeah, we were awful. We were, we sat there, 2 words the whole game. There was 2 games, 1 word for each game. That's about it.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
a handshake. I think at one stage I spat at you as you killed me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. You were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was actually like dripping by the end of the game. Spit. Jonathan Redmond, howdy. Hello, John. And Tom Huggy is back. What a legend. He said, what
nice.
a techno saban. I know, honestly. I think we may get pulled away from our careers, as consultants for some sort of tech firm for how
I think
fast
so.
we're developing.
I heard that KSI and is it Logan Paul or whatever, some internet people
Yeah,
are worried
at our
that
at our
we are
pace.
the next hot new thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I may hit 200 subscribers, and at that point, I think I can retire. So it's good.
I'm pretty certain. Yeah,
Actually,
and I'm going to live vicariously through you.
oh
I'll be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
man,
yeah. There'll be
yeah,
both of us. This is all we'll do. Once a week, we'll talk for about an hour, and then we're hoping that will fund our lifestyle. So we'll see
it'll
how
be
that goes.
fine. It'll fun if it ever gets to the stage where it funds even a widget.
Yeah,
We've made it, mate. We've made
yeah,
it.
yeah. If we can get a widget from this, we're pretty happy.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. Right, okay. We are talking about tournaments. Tom says a
yeah.
career in cyber, like they say in the UK. Yes, a career in the cyber. And John, I'd pay top penny for your services. Well, that's already one consultant. We've already got one customer, so
Yeah,
we're off.
we're we're off
Most
to
importantly,
fine
Dan,
start.
how are you in yourself? You good?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I painted a couple of little bits this week.
Nice.
I've played some games. I've enjoyed all my games. I've managed to get hold of some more War Machine terrain, so I've spray painted some stuff. But I've yet to actually. I really was meant to spend this weekend painting it up, ready for it. The event that we're running. I'm running on the 3rd of May. Hopefully, I'll have some time in the next couple of weeks to just get that finished off. And yeah, really enjoying the hobby aspect of it. Apparently, there's some benefits. Watch our last video for
That's
some
a great
benefits of the
plug.
hobby.
That's a great plug.
And thankfully, I've managed to play 2 people this week. So I played you and I played our local Mark, and both of them I think really exemplified the spirit of the game. And I think we had a conversation at the end where you said one thing I like about our games between each other is that you don't have to pull your punches because we both communicate what we're after in that game, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm a big advocate for our local Mark. I think he's got a fantastic attitude, and we played a really tight game where it was a case of I had to assassinate him or he was going to assassinate me. And again, fantastic attitude, having a laugh and a joke as we go through it, not taking it too, rolling dice. Things happen that go well, things don't, but just carrying on playing it. Yeah, it's been a great week of War Machine. Yeah, really enjoyed it. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm on the mend from my month-long chest infection. I'm getting there. I might cough less this podcast or stream.
You sound less nasally.
Yeah, I don't sound so nasal, which is good. So I'm feeling good. We had two great games. Got a couple of games that are lined up next week. I'm playing a
Yeah,
local, so he's just got his Gravediggers, and he's gonna be his first like bigger game with Gravediggers. So that'll be great. Then I'm gonna get
nice.
slapped around by some Orgoth on Wednesday against Rid. So
So,
and obviously
I'm playing.
you've got your
Yeah, I'm
tournament
playing
coming up as
against
well.
Matt, which is really good.
Yeah, Mr. Hart, yeah, and he's probably running Cricks, I think.
Yeah, he's running creeks with a beautiful Mortenebra
Maybe even
perfected.
new Morty.
Uh,
That is cool.
yeah, it's looking
That
badass.
is cool. So yeah, awesome. First of all, a quick one. Thank you for anyone who subscribed to my channel. I'm nearly 200 subscribers, which is actually crazy. I don't know how people listen to me with a list for so long. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful. My next really break point for the platform is 500. If I get to 500, I think I get some sort of perk or bonus or whatever. So if I could get to there, that would be fantastic. So if you do like what me
Yeah,
and Dan are doing, if you could subscribe, that'd be fantastic. If you like the video, that makes it like pop up on other people's algorithms, so that's really cool. And we'd really love a comment. Talk to us while we're doing this. That'd be fantastic. So let's talk about Steamroller tournaments. Obviously, you're running one soon, then I've got one in
yeah,
June, where I'm
yeah,
attending one in London, and then I've bought the ticket for Welsh Masters and War Manchester. So we've got a lot of tournaments coming up between us.
yeah,
I think let's kick up with our first topic is what we've found. Obviously, we're quite lucky. We've played quite a lot of high level games, not just in War
yeah,
Machine, across all tabletop. And I think what we've
yeah.
found is that people at the highest level even tend to be quite sporting. So you can kick off with that topic.
So I found in both miniatures gaming and tabletop, and card games, typically highly competitive players that are good. There's in the ones that are those higher tables, those ones that get into podiums or winning events, typically have been great sports because they've been good enough at the game to not need to cheat, not need to misplay, not to need to try and limit that communication. Actually, they've gone, you know what, I'm confident in my own ability. I'm going to communicate the whole way through this game because I mean this respectfully. They think they're going to beat me. So and because of that, and that's actually led to a really fun game. I think that competitive people, it's okay if you own that competitiveness to go to an event and go, you know what, I'm looking here to win. But also when you go to an event, people often, when they're quite honest and say, Joe, I'm here because I just want to play some War Machine. I'm here because I've enjoyed painting. I want to see what it was like. I'm here because I've played my locals and I wanted to actually play against some different people. So it doesn't have to be the cutthroat nature that I think you mentioned in one of your earlier videos. It might have been one of your first videos, where it's like, does War Machine need to be cutthroat? It's not the case. It doesn't have to be. And yeah, really think that the higher competitive players, and as in people that are going to be looking to win the events, typically are not the ones that are going to try and shark you, as it were, if you're afraid of that. And I think that sort of that concern of being a bit anxious before a steamroller or before going to an event where you're going to play against people you've not met before, often those sort of anxieties, worries fade away pretty quickly after your first round or when you've been chatting to some people in the room.
Yeah, and I think there might be like a preconception that anyone that wants to go to a tournament is a bit of a like ultra competitive, plays on the edge person, and I think you'll find that most people aren't like that at a tournament. I think you find probably the minority, even at competitive events, are still primarily there to meet people and have a good time. There might be one or two people that are there only to compete in an event, and that is above everything else. But I think most people that go to a tournament are people who are their primary goal is to have a good day. They're giving their
Yeah,
time to the event, and they're mainly going there to have a laugh and see their friends.
yeah.
Tom says tournaments are highly recommended. Absolutely agree. Tom obviously
And
played
you,
in the Guildball WTC, so we know he plays at a high
yeah.
level, and he's a fantastic person to play. In fact, fantastic person to go for a social after the event. And I find that most people are like that at tournaments.
And I think there's always that fear. I remember going to my first steamroller back over 10 years ago now. You were running it, and I was a bit anxious because I'd never played it in a tabletop. I'd never played in a tournament of anything. I played in sport. I played sports, but I never played in something where it was one-on-one, where it was a miniatures game or card game at that stage. And actually going there, my concerns were alleviated. Yeah, I lost my games, but I had so much fun meeting those people. And I've got friends now. We mentioned this previously, where I've got friends that I've met through going to events, going to tournaments. And at the start, I would have never said I'd have been as close of friends to some of those people, but straight away when you've got a shared interest, straight away when you've got that ability to have a connection and really get to know somebody, and then you start talking, then by the end of it you realize pretty much we all might like the same sort of music, we like the same sort of films, we're gonna nerd out not just about this game, we're gonna do suddenly you're talking about Lord of the Rings for a couple of hours, or you're mentioning a comic book, but it doesn't have to just be that sort of that nerd culture either. There's people that I've met through gaming that I've ended up going to watch rugby matches with, or I've met through gaming that I still contact. When things are sometimes when things are tough, I've got some people that I will actually contact, say, can I just have a chat? And again, I wouldn't have met those people if I hadn't gone to tabletop gaming tournaments.
I mean, some of the Harlow Games Club guys come to my weddings. They're not just friends. Yeah. You're only gonna ever talk about a tabletop thing. These people are. They're going to be your friends. Me and you have been friends for a long time now, and the Chelmsford guys and all that. I consider you and those guys friends for life. And then we only really met through. Okay, it wasn't necessarily a tabletop tournament, but we spent a lot of quality time together at tournaments as friends, not just competing to try and win. You know what I mean? So I think the notion that they're only there for competitive people and you can only go there if you want to compete, that's we can dismiss that. If you want to just go have for a good day and speak to some nerds, a tournament's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Tom said I played my first War Machine Mark Ball tournament yesterday. He went 2-1, which is fantastic for his first tournament.
Exactly.
Came third.
And again, we met Huggy through playing at a tabletop tournament. And if you'd have told me, back in when I was 18, that when I'm older, I'm going to play in a tournament, I'm going to go over to a different country, I'm going to play against people that speak a different language but are going to be so eloquent in English that I can communicate so effectively with them, and I'm going to meet some people, including a big, I believe he's Belgium, I'm now going to say the wrong thing, a big Belgian with a big beard. Is he not Belgium?
I don't know, but I don't want to attempt to say if he's or not. So we're going to go with your
Huggy. I'm going to say you're Belgian, even though you might not be. Belgian, or is it Dutch? Is that? Oh God, I've said something wrong anyway. But there's people.
We're cancelled already.
I don't know if you exactly. But I don't know if you remember. There's I've got some friends from Switzerland. I don't know if you remember any of the guys from playing Guild Ball with the sort of Swiss guys. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy called Manu who I speak to probably once or twice a year now. But straight away, as soon as we talk, it's like you're back in the room and you're both you're both laughing about the same things.
It's Belgium for sure. So he was really happy he said Belgium, but now he's put Dutch ? So I think you jumped the hurdle and then you tripped on the next one when you implied that he was Dutch.
So Denmark's Holland. Oh, Belgium is it? Sorry, Huggy. Yeah, Belgium is its own country.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically French. I mean, if I'm doubling down on it,
let's move on. Tom says the Swiss were insane. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like Manu is a great example where I might have spent we had the WTC, so I spent a few days together, and we probably spent in reality an hour talking to each other. But as soon as you say that guy, I know Manu, and if he was to message me on Facebook, I would message him. We would just chat as if we had just spoken yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you make some real crazy friends. Okay, so I think also another good point is it's probably also someone's first tournament. If you go to say a 16-player event, there's probably people who, even if it isn't their first tournament, is also there in a similar atmosphere in that they're new-ish to the competitive scene, and you probably won't be alone, in that situation.
And I think when you go there, I mean, I remember turning up to my first War Machine Steamroller, and I can remember being very, very conscious of this is my first event, and I didn't know what the rules were, the social rules were. Okay, so what happens if this happens? I knew the rules, but you always, it's all best plans work until you contact the enemy kind of thing. And I remember thinking, God, what happens if I get a rule wrong, or what happens if I misplace something, again, we spoke about having sort of clean play previously. If you go there just with attitude, you want to play the cleanest game you can, communicate really effectively, and have a good time. you're gonna have success no matter whether that's a victory in the game or meeting a friend, making a friend afterwards. But I can remember being really sort of nervous because again, it is quite nerve-wracking walking into somewhere where you might not know everybody and you're playing against someone. And there's a variety of different people that play war games, and there's some different personalities. Sometimes you might meet someone that you may not be best friends with if you met them outside of the game
For
tabletop
sure.
sphere. But actually, once you start playing, and now because I've gone to so many tournaments, whether that's for War Machine, Guild War, other systems or other card games as well. I'd definitely say it's made me a more confident person, but also it's opened my eyes to the fact that I enjoy playing the game because I want to meet different people. The game is important, and the type of game is important. But actually, I love going out on a Saturday or driving somewhere because I'm going to hang out with some people, have a laugh, and should have a memorable experience. Again, that's the idea of playing with someone rather than against them. But yeah, I think people should definitely go to it. I think we had a couple of locals at your Harlow event where it was their first steamroller, and from what I gathered, they had a great time. And what did you think about it?
Yeah, I think there was Mike, there was Mark, and I think maybe one other who were at least very and Den. So they were all very new, and it may not have been their first Mark IV game, but it was certainly their first Mark IV steamroller, and some of them were sort of like 7 to 8 games in. And I'd
Yeah.
say we were definitely lucky to have the right sort of crowd. So everyone there was there for the right reason. So there were no bad eggs. But they came away with it just wanting to play more games. They came away that they learnt about their list. They met new people. They met people from other communities, and overall, it was a positive experience. And they were still learning the rules as they were playing, let alone anything else, and they still had a great time.
Yeah. And I think I don't know about you, but I also find it's a bit of a weird one because sometimes as someone that's new, you don't want to admit to when you're feeling it's the opponent issue, when you feel like you're playing against someone, you don't want to admit you're a complete noob and you can because that you might feel they might take advantage. But actually, I think the opposite is when you feel it's like, look, it's my first event. I don't know about you, but if I'm playing against someone that's playing it's their first event, I will try and go above and beyond to explain whenever there's anything. If there's any like measurements where I'm like, do you know what? Just called it in. Like it's close. Like you've clearly meant to do this. You help them out, and you just because there's that communication of it's my first event. I'm going to go out of my way to try and give you the best experience you can because I want you to come back. I want the community to grow, and I think it's really important to sort of own that as well. And be like, look, I'm here. It's my first event. Don't expect to turn up and win. But if you're a competitive player, if you're a competitive person, you can say, it's my first event. I'd like to win it. But just having that reality that that shouldn't be the end goal, because if you just focus on results, you're going to have a miserable time if they go the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think most people's reaction, will be that, oh, are you new? Is there anything I can help you with? Are there any sort of, do you want me to go through my list again, or is there anything you're unsure of? And I think most people will be helpful rather than try and take advantage. I'd say in the community, not even in War Machine. I'd say generally people are decent.
I think also if you admit you're new, typically I know that I give people stuff. I'll give them dice. I'll give them widgets. I'll be like, do you know, have that token, have this thing. Oh, I've got this thing you can have. Oh, here's some cards, wherever it might be. I can remember going to my first steamroller, again, absolutely ruined, and Sherwin giving me some faction dice that he had custom made through someone that he knew. And I just thought that again, straight away thinking, actually, I feel welcomed into that community, even though I have lost my games. But someone's also willing to take the time afterwards to go, by the way, if you did this, here's this what you could do. And yeah, I've never looked back. I've always sort of enjoyed it. I think that experience as well, when you've got someone that sort of lets you in with open arms and really helps you engage with the community, hopefully it means that you learn from that and you go, you know what, I want to be like that for when I meet someone that's coming in new.
Yeah, you almost want to take the same approach as someone who's helped you, and then that helps sort of perpetuate the helpful mentality throughout the community.
I mean, how did
Absolutely.
you find? I know you started back before me. How did you find when Leon introduced you to the game all those years ago?
Oh wow, man, that's a long time ago. Uh, no, yeah, I mean, I think that because Leon was sort of creating the scene, so a lot of us would learn together. But he was amazing in the sense he was just so helpful and so welcoming, and he had that ability to give someone a demo game, and they were instantly excited about the game. Like he was just infectious. He's in excitement was infectious. But he did a fantastic job of easing you in, but also like sort of just giving you enough that, oh, okay, so I sort of understand how that works, and now I want to know a bit more how it works without over explaining. And he was fantastic. He was really good. Tom said, when I returned to War Machine, the locals were so enthusiastic. I was the first new player in a while. They smothered me in gadgets and widgets. People love free stuff. I always feel you have a duty of care as. Oh yeah, so John in the chat is one of our newer players. He's just picked up Chimera, and we've run him through the game a couple of times, and we definitely
Yeah,
trying to, you know, I think the first sort of 2 3 games you definitely have a feeling that my main priority is really that the opponent just enjoys the game. Do they understand what's
yeah,
going on? Do they enjoy the rules? Great, you know, and then
yeah,
maybe to game 4 or 5 you sort of have to shift to, okay, we're now just going to play the game. Can't let you know,
yeah,
okay, you may lose this game, but as long as you're learning and having a good time, that's the main
yeah,
thing. Tom said I started in Mark One. Yeah, that's a while ago. I mean, I only played Mark Two. I didn't ever play Mark One.
yeah,
And John said a tawny bet to make sure newbies have a good time. And I think, yeah, that's very
yeah,
kind. Thank you, John. I think you'll find most people are good eggs and want people to enjoy the game and they want to grow a community. I think it's a minority that aren't that sort of or that sort of people.
yeah,
Um, so another real core reason that I think people should just head out to a tournament is to meet new people. And I think that is really the essence of probably why me and you mainly play tabletop games. You know, like we could
yeah,
play any game really, and it's just a medium to meet new people.
yeah. And I think there's so much. I mean, for those people that sort of listen to other podcasts, or it might not about gaming, but there is an issue with men's mental health, and there is predominantly lots of males that are going to be playing tabletop gaming. For me, I know that getting out, escaping that little bit of escapism, meeting people, and they don't, just having that time where we're going to be able to share that hobby has helped hugely relieve stress when I've had moments of crisis. Has helped sort of give me an outlet to sometimes communicate yourself or show a skill, and also that sense of meeting new people. You find your crowd, you find your tribe, as it were. And for some people, they might have lost connections with friends that they had made previously in life. But I think one thing that, having spoken to Mark the other day about it, was he said it was really nice to go to an event and meet new people, because actually how often he gets opportunities to meet someone new where he's got a shared interest and be able to talk about things. And I think that's so vital, and especially now where it'd be very easy for us to play a video game. You can play lots and I'm sure there's people that have lots of friends playing video games, but the tactile nature of tabletop wargaming and the ability to meet people from a different area and to have those discussions, I think is really pivotal for why I count myself very lucky to think that I can go to an event and I'll be meeting up with friends, not just opponents, or I'll be going to a games club where I'm going to meet my mates. Oh, and we're going to have a game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think mental health is a really great shout. I suffer from anxiety, depression, and I've gone through a lot of therapy, and I'm in a really good place now. So I'm really fortunate. But as an anxious person, going to a tournament is also almost like a hurdle to overcome. I'm going to walk into a room, say when I go to London for the first time, go walk into a room. I don't know most of the people. I know some. I don't know most. Are going to like me, etc. And it's a fantastic sort of achievement also, almost
Mm.
to go to a tournament, say by yourself, into a new tournament. I'm going to say you're going to drive to an area you've not been to before, go to a tournament. You're going to
Yeah,
develop those social tools that, okay, if you are anxious, also what you'll find, I think, as soon as you walk into the room and you say to the first person hello, and they say, are you here for the tournament? And they say yes, and then they ask you what list you brought, for example, you're instantly like, you're in, right? You're no longer them and me. Like, oh, we're all here to play War Machine and you want to ask me about my list, great. Like, I'm already in your gang now. um
yeah.
I think it's
And I
fantastic.
think,
You go, man. You go.
yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think you're not only in that gang, but it's also when someone goes, "We're getting lunch. Do you want to come with us?"
For
And
sure.
it's like you might not have known this person existed a couple of hours ago, but they're like, "Well, we're gonna go. Do you want to come?"
Yeah, when we were hitting the guild ball, seeing hard, there were, often we'd just pick an event and we want to play an event that weekend. So we're gonna drive like an hour and a half to this random place. We don't know anyone. And like you say, the amount of times I've like been on lunch with people that I didn't know 4 hours ago, and we're talking about like you say, like, oh, that new Marvel film that just came out. We're talking about that, you know what I mean? Like it's so good at developing relationships and sort of building your own self-confidence. And maybe developing social skills is a stretch, but if you are, an adult male and you only go to work and go to home and you don't really have an outreach to engage with new people, you might even get to develop social skills by going to new events and talking to people. So I think it's a massive, massive perk. And I think it comes back to when you go to these tournaments, most people that are there are going to be there for a social good time.
Yeah.
And
And also just being able to meet some people that also, I mean, I grew up in a small town that was largely white middle class. Going to meet people where you're going to just meet different people from different cultures and have a chat. And I love talking to them and not just finding out about what the game, but going to the WTC and playing against people from different nations and being like, what's it like living there? What's it like growing up, with this? What did you perceive that film to be like, or whatever it might be? Really opens up. And I know from so my stepson's 11. Oh no, he's been coming with me to some card game events, just small ones, but just seeing his confidence grow, seeing him now start to be able to instigate conversation with strangers before in a safe environment where he can then build that relationship with, okay, well, what are you playing, or how long have you played for? Those things, I've seen that growth in last 6 months, and hopefully that will be sort of in wider life later on.
yeah, I think there's no. Oh, Tom said, in my experience, most war games are pretty middle-aged and male, which is probably fair. It's probably mainly
Yeah,
middle-aged and male. Um, and yeah, I think that's a great avenue for people who maybe I think middle-aged, not necessarily male, but say you're middle-aged and you're working and your 9 to 5 is you go to work, you come back, you go to the gym, you cook dinner. There's not a lot of opportunities unless you go out of your way to join some sort of club that you're
yeah,
going to meet new people. So this even if you don't attend a local club, just go and chat with some people that are like-minded. I think it's always good for your mental
yeah.
health.
And I think also what's great is I think there's been a huge shift in the language and mentality of wargaming and just gaming generally, where while it is majority males and majority of it is a certain demographic, that it's not exclusive to that. So there's nothing to say that the next winner of the Iron Gauntlet can't be female. There's nothing to say that they can't be from a different country. There's nothing to stop someone doing that. And I think what's changed is I can remember back in Mark II, going to an event where there was a single female player, and the TO even made a comment about, oh, you need to be careful, ladies present. And well, the world's changed, but I think now people would be like, no, they're just here to have fun. Like, there's no
They're
reason.
just another
We
person,
don't need
aren't
to
they?
change. I mean, don't be a creep, but you don't need to not. You're allowed to swear still around a female. You don't have to. You don't have to treat them so differently. As long as you're respectful to everyone, it doesn't matter. But I think that's something as well, which for some people, when they're not getting out, when they're not seeing friends, if you've gone to, if you've worked in one environment where you've only got one type of people, you've got an echo chamber, being able to go and meet other people and have, respectful conversations and meet some different and get some different perspectives also is really beneficial as just, getting out of the house and not staring at a screen or becoming a keyboard warrior.
Tom says we have a Yu-Gi-Oh group out at LGS, and I'm jealous of their diversity. It's a good shout. I think Lorcana is another good example of like, local to us. Like we have like Geek Retreat, and we've got a shop called Market Models, which are like tabletop gaming stores. And they're Lorcana, so Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon meets. I'd say are easily 50% male or female, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really good. And like you say, there's no
And
reason that tabletop wargaming can't be. It's just
yeah,
Tom's
and I think the
right.
language, particularly if we're talking about War Machine, the language has gone from play like you've got a pair to just let's enjoy the game.
Yeah.
It's that sort of that shift.
Yeah, I know Sarah,
And
who plays in Scotland, recently posted up saying that she's going to jump back in, which is fantastic. She's a great
yeah,
person. So, and also I think another point, like you say about getting out, I think sometimes you can really build up a list or a faction in your mind. Like you never played against this like meta list, but you have read that
yeah,
this list is really horrible to play against, and anyone that plays it should be demonized and it's unbeatable. and you go to a tournament and you play it. Okay, you probably do lose the first time you play it, but you think actually, if I had done like
Yeah,
X, Y, Z different,
yeah.
and it's not that bad, you know. And I think most people in real life is not as bad as people like to put it out on line, at least, you know, meta wise. The game isn't
Yeah.
in a sorry state and it's not awful. Just go play it with people in real life, and I think you'll probably have a good time most of the time.
I th- yeah, the idea that the internet's wrong is often true. You know, how many times have you been told that that model is never going to be played, or on Discord, or there's some people that are very vocal in a community that say this is the way you should play X game. And we know we've played game systems where certain people in certain nations have said you've got to play a game in one way, and then it turns out when they go to the WTC that they lose if they play that way. But you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, getting out, meeting different people, seeing different styles, because you might be playing against a Signal player that's just going to sit at the back and shoot you and not overplay scenario, and then suddenly you turn up at a Steamroller and someone's got a heavy combat focused Signal army that's really efficient, and you're like, whoa, that's a cool way to play it. Or it might be the contrast. It might be playing against an Orgoth player that shoots you off the table and you expect it to have a fight.
Yeah, yeah. I really want to play against like a Huxley heavy melee Warjack Signalist. I think it would be brutal. I think, you know, seeing more ways to play in different lists, it'll also improve your own game. You know, oh, you seeing your own faction played in different lights, I find it always really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, you go
and I think
you
one
go
thing
to a
that's
table, right, and it's like someone playing Brian Bloods, and they're, oh, you've got this list, and you've got, oh, you got that model with that warlock. Oh man, I never would have thought of that, you know. And then, oh, I think you're always learning more that way.
I think what's great about Mark IV War Machine is the fact that the jacks or the warbeats are customizable. So you don't have to always see the person with the sword and shield. You could have, you know, the gun can be switched out or whatever it be. And also having that chat afterwards and be like, I'm interested, why did you take that, or and getting surprised by things. Lists are certainly less homogenous than they were before. There's not that sort of, I feel there's a lot less of the internet net deck kind of listing War Machine, but we might be wrong, but I feel that we don't have that as much sort of locally, and people are trying out bits, which is great.
Yeah, Tom said the best Belgian player was rocking Huxley at the tournament. It looked really strong. Repo 5 is really good. Yeah, man. When I read the card, I was reading through the card, like, okay, it's really good. You know, like when he goes ground mode, his battle group can't be dragged and that. And I was like, oh, really good. In air mode, the battle group's like +2 speed Pathfinder and reposition 5. I was like, reposition 5, sorry. That's a big old
It's not
number
bad.
on reposition. You know, I'd be getting them strikers all up in people's grills. But that's a great way about, you know, like about War Machine is everyone find. I think people find their own. They get into the mold of the way they like to play, and I think
Yeah.
seeing other people's way they play, you might break out of that mold a little bit. You know, oh, so I don't have to use this Warcaster in this way. You've got this really cool animus with this Warlock, and you're going to do that. And I think that's a fantastic. Seeing more lists in person is always really good.
Yeah.
Tom. He only plays the Repo 5 mode. I can understand why. Reposition 5 on all of your battle
Yeah.
group sounds pretty sweet.
But I
Um,
bet but if he plays games where he's going to try the other mode, there'll be those situations we go, but that's why you use that
yeah,
situation.
because the thing is,
Because
when you're in the other mode, you can't be dragged. So if against me, I would not like that mode because I want to drag them
yeah,
heavies right into Ragemonger. So
yeah,
cool. So right, we have covered growing as a person, that's developing self-esteem.
yeah.
But I think that can't be overshadowed. Not even like it's not even like mental health. I think just building yourself as a person, the more you sort of get out there. And I know some people, you know, even going out the house is like a challenge because you have some sort of disorders and that's really hard. And I think if you can even build up to a tournament, you know, say you just set the end of your year goal, I will attend a tournament. Even if that's an end goal for you, that could be a fantastic way to push yourself to maybe go out a bit more or achieve that goal of going out the house for a whole day.
And one thing that, again, it's partly unique to sort of miniatures game is that there's a real life thing in front of you. There's a real life person. There's a real life object. There's real life dice. Um, you know, and getting out. I play Flesh and Blood, and Flesh and Blood is a card game. The whole point is that it's getting communities out to playing the flesh and blood, not online, trying to get people to come together. And I think it really, you know, you can. sometimes, especially in today's world where the internet and social media is, and the world can feel a very dark place. But and I'm sure there's some lists and there's some things where you go, oh, I'm never going to be able to beat this list, and oh, this thing's broken. This is a problem with the game. Negativity can easily thrive. But when you get out and you meet people and you see people in real life, you can you actually reality is hard to deny, and you can actually say, do you know what, I've had this experience, and okay, it's not as bad, and people are not all negative and all the rest of it. I think COVID taught us that as well. Spending time where we're all isolated, it made me really value actually getting out and meeting new people.
Yeah, I think it can't be overstated that how good it is for you as a person to just spend some time with like-minded people and just be able to
Yeah,
talk. Because you'll find, that I find you probably won't even end up talking about War Machine for a lot of it, or 40K or whatever. On lunch, you'll be talking about, if you're meeting someone new, what do they do for a living? Hey, what? And then
yeah,
and that would just be a great experience for you, and you have a great day. Just
yeah,
go to a tournament.
yeah,
And another thing, learning while playing is I think really valuable. And learning like, while you're playing at a tournament is just the same. Most people you're going to play are going to be helpful and they're going to be there for a good time. And you're not just going to get your head smashed against the wall because half the people there are probably in the same mindset as you. They're probably there to learn and have a
yeah.
good time.
I think also, there's a reason why I always think back to, when when my granddad got outside and things like that, not to go too deep, but like trying to get him to play games kept his brain ticking. Like actually, I know that if the more I socialize, the more I play games, actually it keeps my brain doesn't feel as frazzled because I've had a bit of challenge. I've had to be resilient at times of, I've had to problem solve. And God, I might sometimes come home with a headache because you've been spending 4 hours, constant or however many hours concentrating. But God, it feels good, and I find that I sleep better after event, not before event. I'll be up at 5 o'clock, being really excited. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think one thing we should bring back is just like general memories. I think, if we look back to say like Welsh Masters and there was like 21 of us and we stayed at this random freaking Airbnb somewhere in the arse end of Wales, and I remember at one point we were sleeping on someone's house and we were sleeping over the night or something. God, but the memories that you will make, say you've gone to your first tournament and you found your gang now. If you can then build to go into an event with a group of people, say like 10 or 5 of you, whatever, and stay overnight, you will have the best weekends when you're with
yeah,
your people and you're having a great time at the weekend and you go out for a social evening and you just like you're with your people and you're let loose to be your stupid geeky self around your other stupid geeky friends. It is the best
yeah,
time.
yeah. And you'll get, when you're old and grey or older and greyer, you'll sit back and go, do you remember that time when? And sometimes it can be, and also there's that little bit of when you're ribbing on your friends or you're taking the mickey out of each other and you're laughing at just the pure, the joy of some just stupid things that you did, or the way that's like, sometimes even when there's those moments where you might get frustrated, you look back and go, what was I doing? You're laughing at how you behaved, and then you've grown more as a person
Like,
since.
do you remember at the start of the WTC where we tried to convince you left Corsair at home and we
I
stole
can
your
remember spending literally hours where photos of it was going around in like people's rooms in different showers. I was like, yeah, but
yeah.
I think it got to about 9, 10 o'clock. I was like, guys, I know this is a joke, but I actually like need him back because my whole list is kind of essential, like he's essential
Uh,
to it.
you'll
Or
be
it's the same way as I can remember going to the Welsh Masters, and there was the rage train thing. So we used to call Aaron
yeah.
the A train, because you get the hype train going, and the rage train thing where like just sometimes at the time we were a different person. We were younger, we were quite a bit more emotive, and just have it, and the complete and utter meltdown you had, but also the laugh afterwards where you were like, I don't know why I behaved that like that. Like
Uh,
I wasn't cool for that moment.
yeah, man. I mean, like in context, we had been practicing for Welsh Masters for a while, right? I was playing Circle Ouroboros. It was Mark II, and Legion were like my kryptonite. Like Legion never like they had eyeless sight. They would see through my clouds. They would kill me from downtown. So I had Rock Lee montaged against Legion of Blight. I had like 50 games against Legion of Blight. I was like, there's no way. I wasn't expecting to win Welsh Masters, but I was at least expecting to have a good record against Legion, right? So round one, I'll get paired against Legion, and I'm thinking, Right, here we go. I've prepared for this moment. So I set up my stuff, my druids for Orbor, set my cloud wall up. I think I was camping Free Fury. I just defeated with Kruger, so I'd pushed them back. They couldn't charge me. I was like, there's no way, right? There's just no way. And then this guy worked out like this downtown. I'm gonna do a backflip and I'm gonna push this here and kills me at the top of turn two. And I get up. This is bullshit, and I walk out. Um, and that is not probably not the angriest I've ever been, but the angriest I've ever expressed myself. And the whole hall looked at me and heard me as I was expressing my emotion, and that will always be remembered as the Rage Train. And I will probably remember that when I'm like 90 and have Alzheimer's. I remember
Yeah.
that time that I got really angry that my little metal model died.
But since then, we had a discussion about how you can be a good sport and how now you'll be like, do you know what, fair play. You've got the coolest backflip into that attack,
For sure.
and celebrating your opponent's success. And again, we have to go through things to learn and develop as a human being.
Each thing that doesn't beat you makes you very angry, and then hopefully you grow from it. But also I would say that at some points when you're with your friends and you're in these weekends and you completely get to escape from reality. Like say there's us five, like me, you, Sherwin, Paul, Dave, for example, and we're at like a premiere in like Hull somewhere. All that matters in that moment is like us five for those few hours being stupid, having a laugh. Like
Yeah,
I've got some like health issues and everything else. None of that matters in that moment. You know what I mean? All
yeah,
it is us having a great time, almost in our own
yeah,
bubble of reality, and you can't get that
yeah.
from anything else.
Yeah, and also, like you say, there can be lots of things that might be on your mind away from wargaming. You might be really stressing about various circumstances, and that happens. But having that weekend or that day where you just escape, like say, escape, and you go, do you know what? I'm actually just really enjoying this world. It's the reason why people like fantasy, as a genre. It's the reason why escapism, entertainment is on the rise, and why people will pay a lot of money to try and just get that sort of escape from sometimes if life isn't going so well or whatever. But like I say, when you're doing that in a social context as well, when you're with your friends, and also being able to celebrate when your friends do well. And sometimes I think that's the one thing that people don't think about when they go to events. It's actually, you meet that person round one. I don't know about you, but I that person you played round one, I'll check in on them every other round, be like, how's it going? Have you got any, how's it, and when they win, you're like, yeah, God, like you become their cheerleader. And I think that really helps too. And when you've got you might have had a bad day, but if you've lost all your games, but one of your friends or someone has won all theirs, although you're not living vicariously through them, you're actually happy, like, good on you. Good, like you've turned out. Like I've had it's been terrible for me, like competitively, but I've loved my games, and actually well done for you to win.
Absolutely. Tom said, play in other factions. Locally, you tend to play against a limited pool of players with a limited pool of factions. Absolutely. Like you
Yeah,
say, like for War Machine Mark 4, locally we don't really have many Mark 3 factions present. So
yeah,
when we go to tournaments and someone drops some Mark 3 stuff, we'll be like, sick. I've got no idea what it does, but it's great to see what it does in person.
yeah. The
Absolutely.
discussion we had before your steamroller, when someone brought mercenaries from Mark 3, and we're like, what does it do? And I read someone's feat 3 times. I was like, I don't understand. It
Yeah.
says that they can't move. Like, I was thinking, what's the benefit of that? And then someone was like, no, they can't be moved. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Tom says A train. No, I think at one point because there was a what was the Steamforge game convention for Guild Ball? SteamCon. Right, there was a SteamCon, and I, for some reason, because I was very excited at the time, decided I'd do like a 20-day countdown every day. I posted in the Guild Ball group saying like, day 20, what are you doing? And then someone put my face on the front of a train.
Oh, Thomas
All
Slam.
right, and they were like, the hype train's coming, and I think it was hype train, but I'm still as excited. I just have less time on my hands.
Yeah, and we don't have the technology to Photoshop you onto
No,
Thomas the
no,
Tank
I've just
Engine.
learned how to freaking blur my camera. That's years away. That's years away. Um, as you were saying though, like living sort of vicariously for your friends. I remember one. It was a Guild Ball event. I think it was British Masters, I think. And but some crazy turn of events. At the end of day one, I was like 5-0. And like everyone as a group, we were like as a group we are 5-0. Like
Yeah,
everyone, oh, my little group of friends, we were like, yeah, we're doing really well as a group. Like if your
yeah,
friend's doing well, like you're so excited for them that almost you're doing as well as them. You're like, oh, my buddy is playing and he's playing on the stream or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
You're super hyped for them. You know what I mean? It's just a great
And
time.
even if you've lost to someone, you're like, oh, the person I lost to, but they're 5-0. Like it also it go, no, I played against that person, and if they win the tournament, you're like, I played against that person, and they were, if they're a if they're a good person as well, you're like, yeah, fair
Yeah.
play, like, and you're clapping them. Like I feel sometimes, personally, I'm a big person that thinks that when I win, or if I get given sort of recognition for something, I get a bit. I turn into the 10-year-old introvert, shy boy that I was back then, where I'm like, oh, don't give me attention. Whereas if it's my mate, I'm like, look at this guy,
Yeah.
he's the best. Screw.
Hyping up your friends is, and like
Yeah,
when like they're doing well, and like say I've just been smashed very quickly, so I want to go see how they're doing. Like sort of hovering around their table, not interrupting, of course, but like you do a
yeah.
sly walk past the table, like, oh, what the table state is it doing well? Is it bad? Like following your events, following your friends during events is really a lot of fun. I'm so
It's that
excited for
little
Welsh
thumbs up they
Masters now,
give, where they're
man.
like,
It's gonna be so good. I think we've pretty much covered what we had. Most comp people are sporting, which I think we covered. Most competitive people are good people. There'll be a lot of people that are
I think
there
one,
that isn't that are also their first event. But you carry on with your
yeah.
point, sorry.
I think the one thing that we've not mentioned is just making sure you're really clear with what sort of tabletop event you're going to. I think it's down to organisers to make it really clear and communicate. This is the type of event I'm running. This is the scenarios. These are the things. These are the times. So then beforehand what you're expecting. So you're not going to get there and be disappointed. I think that's one thing that we've found where sometimes where if someone suddenly tries to try to change comp rules after you've paid for a ticket, doesn't seem great. If you've got someone that turn up, and I can remember going to one event where it was meant to be 4 rounds, there was enough people for it to be 4 rounds, and then it got to the end of the third round, and the person was like, "I want to go home. I'm not going to play. We're not going to play the fourth round." Or if you turn up and you're expecting one set of rules and there's a different set of rules, or if you have, if you're new to an event as well, you want to be able to that anxiety of thinking, oh, it's new for me. I want to know everything I can before I get there. I don't want to turn up on the day and be like, oh, by the way, it's 3 colors painted minimum. You've got to have one list instead of 2 lists. Or by the way, it's these scenarios. Or we're rolling each. Knowing which scenario can also help you adapt your list and think about what you're going to do, but also helps you take that cognitive load of actually, if I've read the rules beforehand, I'm not going to be as stressed when it gets to individual games.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. That if you're so I suppose part of it is make sure if you're a tournament organizer, try and at least put across the environment you're going through for a tournament. So if for the one I ran recently, I sort of very explicitly said to everyone, it's primarily a beginner tournament. And the comrade who came from London and some of the guys, he normally plays Mark 4 crits. He brought his Mark 3 mercenaries and soft to list because he was, he engaged with that it's meant to be a beginner tournament. So I think TO is just try and be clear what type of environment atmosphere you're trying to create. And then I think, like you say, for tournament goers, if you say it's your first tournament and you're trying to find the right one, maybe go on Longshanks and drop the TO a message and be like, this is my first tournament. What sort of scene do you have? Do you have a real big Shark Tank that only plays comp lists? Do you think it'll be appropriate for me, etc.? They might still say yes. It might be a Shark Tank where everyone's lovely, but I think just make sure you're clear that what sort of tournament you're going for, so you get the sort of right experience you want.
And I think also, I mean, we've kept on using the word tournament, but I think really it's more those events. I think there's been a shift for me. There's that shifting from Mark II, where it was a War Machine steamroller, it was a hyper focused, hyper competitive tournament. Whereas now we're running events where the focus is actually getting everyone together. That's different. If you turn up to the WTC or the World Team Championship, you're not expecting to take your fluffy, really, list of random stuff. And also, I think having the reality that no matter what people say, you're typically going to play a game to win. Your aim is to win. You might be also there to play, have fun, or but part of you're playing a game for a reason, because there's going to be a winner at the end of it, and you're hoping it would be you if you make the right choices. Very few people, I think, are turning up to play a game where they're going, I want to lose, unless you get to sort of wooden spoon era, and then when some people are trying to make sure that they want to win the spoon.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. Just be clear with yourself and maybe
Yeah,
TOs try and be clear as well what sort of events you're putting on. We're going to jump onto the Discord, bud, if you want to join. And we're
Cool.
going to go through the hobby. We're going to hide our faces. We've had enough of our faces for a little while. We're going to go, and my full screen's just going to be the local hobby. And we're going to go through
Yeah.
the Discord and show off some of the hobbies. So we're going to kick off with yours, actually, because that's the last one we sort of didn't show. You posted a lot of your Rhett. We've got a great shot of you against
Dusk.
Sherwin. Yeah, sorry, Dusk, not Rhett.
Yeah, it's good.
Dusk. You against Ewing, Chimera. Yours in a tray, and we've got your lovely Kruger. We've got a lovely group shot from a tournament. It looks like maybe, and we've got
Yeah.
Skyrafel. How have you found painting your Dusk? Have you enjoyed the process?
I've loved it. I painted the majority of it over a weekend back in the summer. Once they turned up, I love my dusk. I'm not going to win any painting competitions, but being happy with what they look like, I like the fact they're coherent. I'm going to try out some things when hopefully that colossal turns up. I can't wait to see what that's going to be like. But no, I love it. I enjoyed painting Kruger. Now I don't for me the Kruger didn't turn up to what the expectations I hoped for, but I'm happy with sort of the standard that it is. And I think that ultimately I'm trying to, I want to play fully painted as much as I can because I think it's more immersive. But that's just me. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. The shot of the models in the tray, that's one of my, I think it was a 75 point list. It might have been 100, I can't remember. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think I've been trying to develop my painting little bits by little bit, but also I'm aware that I've not spent as much time as some other beautifully painted models. And when you look at the Chimera shot, the game against Sherman, Sherman's a fantastic painter. I would suspect all of the stuff that's mine in that photo would have taken less time for me to paint than he'd have painted one of his models. And you could tell the quality and difference. Yeah, love it. Really enjoying the hobby. Really enjoying the fact that their models are pretty much single piece plastics, or printed, and they can't go together really well. Yeah, I absolutely love my dusk. I just need to get started on my Chimera eventually because they're still grey.
Tom Huggy said, give people a heads up on time. Planning in a day is tricky if you only get like 1 month heads up. Yeah, the more notice you can give people, the better. Well, I think your dusk look fantastic. I think they look awesome. I would be really proud if they were my army on the table, and you should be too. Next up, we've got D with some cephalics, and I think the next photo is also that model finished. The skin looks really cool. He's got like a really nice juxtaposition of like deep pinks and purples, and then also like the really pale white elements of it. That looks really nice, and the metallics are really cool as well. Really nice and clean.
Yeah,
That looks really nice. And then below that, we've got some more cephalics. I suppose people are hot printing their cephalics from their My Mini Factory subscriptions. Below that, we've got a bit more of a finish. Again, we've got like some sort of like white pale skin with some purple sort of muscle folds. And then he's also, I think they sort of carried the purple onto the metal as well, because like the
and
metallics look sort of purplish.
yeah, I really like that.
Yeah,
I think,
people can get inventive with that because I suppose it's very easy just to do like some skin tone and metal. So I think people are going to get inventive with what sort of colours they mix in with the metallics. And then we've got, oh wow, if you've seen the white rusted Cador below that, they
oh,
are killer. We've got
I mean,
Vilcol and we've got Razor from. So quick shout out to Tom Draw Things. He is the fella who did my new banner and logo. Absolute
I, I
legend.
I'm impressed with both of those things, but that paint scheme is gorgeous. Again, not something I'd have thought of myself, but I really like particularly the chipping and their weathering effects. I'm guessing he's used some sort of pigments maybe and some stippling and things like that. But they look great. And Tom Draw Things, loving Aaron's new avatar and the
I
logo and
think
things. It's
I'm going to
great.
work out that I can put the logo permanently on my screen. I have not worked
You
that
need,
technology out yet, but I believe I can do it.
I think that, and you need to get t-shirts, right?
Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe I'll set up a merch store at Welsh Masters and really, really, really push my networking hard.
Yeah,
But below that we've got some more finished of the cephalics, which are a bit more purple. I really like the pink in the pink glow in the head bit. That is really great.
I think again when you once you see a whole faction, whole
Right.
force done like that, it's going to really start on the table to like make people want to go and find out. I think one great thing about cephalics as well is the fact that you can print them at home. Like how easy is that going to be for new players? Or if you're someone that owns a 3D printer, you can say to your friends, "Do you want to try this out? I'll print it
Yeah.
for you."
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be great. Below that we've got so that was R. Whoever you are, R. Great job. And then we've got P below it with some really really cool gravediggers, which are a sort of I'd say grey brown with purple. I can't quite describe the main color.
Yeah. These are stunning, but also when you actually zoom in the details that he's put in, again a scheme I would not have anticipated people to do, but really like I think the basing, tying it together works really well. The whole scheme is really effective and will be different, which is nice because not everyone needs to do box art, not everyone needs to be.
Yeah, I think I really really like the purple. And also, yeah, it's got some autumn leaves on some of them, and the red and yellows really pop against like the grey and purple. They look really great. Uh, Below that, we have some cricks. We have some frails. We have some big old Mechana frails and some really nice sludge frails. And this is from Dr. Aoife. They look really nice.
Um, I mean, I struggle to kill those guys. So in a game situation, I'm a bit fearful of them, especially when you're trying an assassination run and one dies and kills the thing you're going to do the assassination run with. But they look stunning.
They look
Um,
great.
the glow's really effective. I really do like Cricks.
Their
I
skin
just,
is
oh,
great. It's quite interesting because like the skin, he's gone for quite like there's no like rot on the skin. It's quite like a
yeah,
human fresh skin, but it makes them like really like you really see the muscles like they really pop.
yeah.
Really nice
Um,
job, Dr. Aoife. Oh, it's me next.
so
Gonna
so what? So this guy's. I mean,
this bit of shit.
so contrast being used to full effect here and to great effect. I particularly really like the use of, is that the white,
It's
I can't
just
remember
yeah, the
the name of it.
apothecary white, yeah,
It's very
which
white.
is more like a sort of pigmented, very light blue-grey sort of color rather than
Yeah,
just white. But obviously, it gives the impression that where the recesses aren't, it looks white.
yeah. I think for me, the yellow skin of the crocodile, I'm a big fan of yellow
Because
gator
actually
meat.
on the box art, it's grey. It's actually got like
Oh,
blacky grey skin, and I thought,
look at you with
oh,
it. Alt scheme.
I know, I just like to
Um,
try and get as much colour as I can. So I thought,
yeah.
let's do yeah green, and then below that we've got my Vroga, which
So this
again
model is my favorite.
contrast to the great effect.
But how again just the sculpt lends itself for contrast and your use of color, it's really clean lines. The flame effect looks great as well. um and
I
again
was
what again
pretty happy with it. It was only like, to be honest, it's only like 5 colours. There was like
yeah,
green, the underbelly green, the pink, and the yellow, and I think I put a tiny bit of orange, and that was about it. So sort of minimal effort really for something tabletop, but looks fantastic. Well, not fantastic, but I think it looks decent enough for
i
tabletop.
I love it. I think that the red of the eyes as well really draws your attention in. Really happy with it for me.
Oh, thanks,
I
man.
love that sculpt. I love those models. I think the frog meta is the best meta.
Frog
um
Meta. Below that, we've got Dr. Aoife with I think this is the Caphis, or maybe it's just the Iron Lich Commander.
it's the Iron Lich Commander, I
That's the one.
believe.
Yeah.
And a really nice use. I don't know if that's two brush blending or if he's just used two colors and just let them sort of seep into each other. Really like the yellow going to the green. Um, and yeah, just really, I just
Right. I must run away for 30 seconds. Please keep talking about the cricks. I'll be
that's
back in 30 seconds.
that's fine. I'm a big fan of dark muted colors. I'm really a big fan of also how those accent colors that really pop on the table. Um, I am a big fan of the yellow glow that he's got in the crevices, and yeah, I think it's great. Moving down, I don't know if people can see, got some more of the cephalics. The green glow is so nice that they put there from a rabid bunner. Um, I think one thing that we want to focus on, I say we, the royal we, is again celebrating that people have taken the time to take photos of their minis and share them on a Discord. And that if they inspire one person to get some paint, pin up a paintbrush, that's great. But also, these people should be really proud of the fact that they've taken the time to do it, and they're going to help their community grow by having cool painted minis on the table that people are going to look at and go, I'm interested in that. So I think that's for me is a big, massive plus of what people are doing.
I'm back. Sorry. Where are we up to?
Oh, I was just slating your painting, mate. Just saying it was absolutely terrible. No, I was just saying how. So we were still on the Iron Lynch Lord, but I also made a point of just saying I think it's really important that the community that we're sort of building with us really appreciate that. They're actually these people that have taken the time to put their photos on is great because it's going to help build the community, build the game, and it doesn't matter. They're these, some of these. I mean, the Madame Moriarty, whatever her name is, it might not be pro painted, but actually sharing it is really, really important to help a community grow.
It is
So,
definitely not pro-painted. We can definitely
well, I
confirm.
mean, it's yeah, but I love it. I think, and I think that positivity is what we need. We want
Yeah.
to,
I think the
keep it
people with the
going.
more shared hobby, the sort of like it grows, it'll almost build momentum. So the more hobby that's shared, the more hobby that happens, and that keeps going. So we'll
Yeah,
finish off with Huggies. He has done, I believe, the new Warlock. I think Valix, maybe Val something, and also I think that's one of the shades on the rock as well. I really like
yeah,
Huggies' scheme. I find Chimera can be quite hard to read, but the fact that
yeah,
metallic, sort of like the armor, contrasts so hardly with the pink and blue, I find it really easy to tell what is silver and well, what's meant to be sort of armor and what's meant to be sort of a bit more fleshy. I think that comes
yeah.
across really well.
I think what also for me with Huggies is the fact that not only is he painted, but he's taken that to his. You said about recently he went to that event, and I bet he was able to chat to someone about the techniques he did, and make them. He's going to have that conversation to, really engage in the community a bit more. I
Yeah.
love the bases as well personally.
Yeah, the basing is great. Huggy, you're a great person and your hobby is great. And I think we will wrap up there. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Um, no, I think one thing that might be a topic for the future is having acquired some terrain. Is I'm interested what the community's doing for terrain, and personally trying to move a shift away from just the 2D terrain to 2.5 or even just going 3D terrain. I'm interested to see what so that's something. If people on the general chat on Discord, let me know what your tables are looking like, because as someone that's organising events, and I know you are as well, Aaron, trying to get ideas and inspiration for what we can make, how we can have effective and great looking tables would be something I'm interested in. So that's a little challenge for the community.
Absolutely. We would love to see either the tables you're playing on or the tables you're making. That would be great. Thanks for your time today, Tom, and in the chat, and Jay-Z, thank you. And also John, thank you for joining us. Dan, thank you so much for your time. I think I'm free next Sunday, so we might do this again Sunday. I'm thoroughly enjoying catching up with you. And until the next one, we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.